All right, so remember when I mentioned that in the standalone, we have some really intuitive, useful tools and workflows here that are going to help to sort of optimize this whole process and make it a lot less painless. That kind of begins with the repair assistant, and some would say it ends with the repair assistant, because honestly, there is so much here to love. The repair assistant is a bundle of modules here. You can see we have the DS module, we have the declick, we have the declip, the denoise and the dereverb, and then in the background there's a dehum that sort of comes with the furniture. And essentially what we're going to do here is use the AI developed for RX10, and it's going to analyze our audio clip and sort of make a prescription. It's going to tell us what it thinks we need. Now keep in mind, I do like to tweak these further, but it does give us a great starting point. So the first thing we need to do is tell it what it's listening to. We've got 4 categories. We've got voice, pretty self-explanatory. We've got musical audio, and what this really means is tonal or harmonic audio. We have a separate setting for percussion, and so percussion includes drums, anything where you don't want the transient really messed with. And you can see it has different modules to some extent for each different category here. Like, DS is pretty specific for vocals. D-harsh works better to that end for instruments and things like that. And then we've got the sound effects department, which is sort of a catch-all for everything else, but can also be very handy. If you have something that you feel like is in between, try either one and see what works best. But I guarantee as you use the repair assistant more, you'll get more of a feel for its ears, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on voice. And let's break down some of these modules. DS is going to deal with sibilance. It's going to use phase cancellation when we get some harshness in the S's. Declick is going to listen for mouth clicks. Declip is going to listen for clipping. So that's going to be, to some extent, distortion, but also if something's really leveled off, it can help to clean that up. This is something that did not exist in such a useful way not too long ago. We've got dereverb, which is going to help to get rid of some of the room around your voice if you'd like it to be drier. This is one that you have to sort of play with, but it can really do the job a lot of the time. And then we've got denoise, which is their voice denoise, which is very, very smart. It listens, it kind of tries to figure out what's important, what's not. In the past, it was more efficient to use a learn function with the noise module where you would select an area that had noise in the audio itself, like so. That's a breath, but you can hear that noise in the background. So you try and find a naked area like that, and where you're just hearing the air conditioner, and then you teach it that particular sound profile, and it would go from there. Nowadays, it's better to just let the algorithm do its thing. It's really good at figuring out what's going on, and it kind of learns as it goes, and it has really good outcomes. So we've selected everything properly. We don't really have to worry about these settings right now. We can put them however we want because we're going to hit the learn button, and it's training the repair assistant. It's going through, and it's made a suggestion here. So as you can see, it's turned certain modules on and off. We don't really have any clipping. It's not detecting a lot of clicks that it hears. And it's also not detecting the dereverb. It is de-essing and denoising, so it's hearing that to an extent. Let's take a listen. We can preview this.
Come dance with me on the land and in the sea.
And we can do that again, but bypass it.
Come dance with me on the land and in the sea.
So already really cleaned up. It's working really, really well. I do think that I want to get rid of some clicks. Maybe this is a very serious pop record, and so I'm going to push the declick. And because it didn't really make a suggestion here, I'm going to go ahead and set this myself. And I'm going to use this ear button. And whenever you see this, it's going to basically play for you what it's removing. It's like a solo button for the muck. So I'm going to hit the ear here, and I'm going to push this until I start to hear in what it's rejecting things that I want to leave in. Okay, so we're going to go over the top and then come back. But we have to hit the preview button to do that. All right, I think I'm okay with that. You have to be careful with things like declick and DS, and actually you have to be careful with all of these because it's the voice. We're very sensitive as humans. We get really good at hearing voice, and our detector for something that's not right is very well attuned. But with DS and declick, I encourage you to think about the performance that you're listening to, the singer, and also what language you're in. You know, S's matter more in certain languages, clicks matter more in certain languages. So we want to go with something that's natural, but also something that is still easy to understand. I'd also like to check out a little dereverb. Let's just listen to that with the ear turned on. And you notice it hot swapped the ears. So we're only on the dereverb ear now. So I'm going to take it super easy on the D reverb. There is some room in this recording. If you weren't hearing that before, it's just a little bit in the background, but once we start really pushing this stem in the mix, maybe we're compressing hard, something like that. It's nice to have that out of there if we can. And then denoise, that's set to a pretty good place. I'm going to push it a little further. And one thing I will mention with the Repair Assistant is that it tends to be kind of conservative. So I'm going to push the DS a little bit, and I'm going to push the denoise, and let's preview, and we'll go back and forth with a bypass, and then we'll preview it. We'll go back and forth. We'll listen to it bypassed, and then we'll preview it with this chain put in there. And we'll just go ahead and start at the beginning.
Come dance with me on the land and in the sea. Time to let your body free. Turn around and feel the beat.
Okay, and now let's preview with this chain engaged. You got to make sure you turn the ear off, though. That'll get you every day of the week. Here we go.
Come dance with me on the land and in the sea. Time to let your body free. Turn around and feel the beat.
Okay, I want to go a little further on the declick, but I'm really liking this. It feels much more pleasant. It feels like it was recorded in a much better room, and it's kind of bringing out the best of what I like about this recording. Now, one thing that you can also do is you can hit this compare button, and whenever you see this, this is the case. You can hit compare, and here are my Repair Assistant settings #1, and you can just jump back and forth here, which is really, really handy. And that works really, really well. So if I just hit preview.
Come dance with me on the land and in the sea. Time to let your body free. Turn around and feel the beat.
That's also a great way to do it. And you can put more than one Repair Assistant setting in there if you would like. And that can be very, very handy. So I'm happy with this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit render. And now that is printed into my audio. All I have to do is save it, and then I can pop it on in to my DAW. Now, one thing that I will mention also is that the beauty of this save process that we have here, where it just replaces the file that you had, is that it doesn't change the name. So ostensibly, you could, and I would highly recommend that you save backups of things. You make a separate folder with all of your original audio so that you can always go back. But ostensibly, you could just replace the audio in your audio files folder and then relink things in Pro Tools and just open it on up with the cleaned up audio with all of your edits intact.